Welcome in, everyone. This is Sean with MTG808 Jr., and today we are going to be looking at the new Rivals of Ixalan cards that are probably going to make an impact on Standard Pauper. Before we get into that, I just want to make sure that everyone knows we are going to be running a Youth Championship Scholarship Tournament this May. So in about 4 months, we'll be giving away at least $750, possibly more in scholarship at this tournament. First place will receive at least $500 in scholarship. So if you were thinking about playing Magic, now is the time to start playing. Now is the time to start getting serious and trying to get better, get a little more competitive. So that tournament is going to be Standard Pauper, and today we're going to be looking at the Standard Pauper cards from the new set. So, first and foremost, I just want to clear the air on this. So, Attune with Aether was recently banned in regular Standard. It's very, very rare that a common card gets banned in Standard. I think it's been almost 10 years, over 10 years, since a common card has been banned in Standard. But it happened. It was announced this past Monday. I want to make clear to everyone that this card is still legal in our Standard Pauper tournaments. I don't know if other people playing Standard Pauper feel differently, but if you're playing in an MTG 808, Junior tournament, then Attune with Aether is legal. The same problems that they had in regular Standard with the card don't necessarily apply in Standard Pauper. So, Attune with Aether is legal, so you can keep playing your energy decks if you want to. Alright, but today we're going to be looking at some goodies from the new set. So I'm going to start off. So, anyone familiar with Ixalan knows that there were 4 main tribes in Ixalan. There were Dinosaurs. This is not a dinosaur, but it is a dinosaur helper. There were Merfolk, right? There were Vampires, and there were Pirates. Now, none of these decks were terribly competitive before Rivals of Ixalan came out, but I think that with these new additions, they might be able to start competing with some of the tried and true Standard Pauper decks. So, the one that I'm least sure about is Dinosaurs. But I feel like if there is going to be a Dinosaur deck in Standard Pauper, it is going to be playing this card. This card, you know, a 4-mana 2/4, that's a very solid body. It's going to be hard to kill very easily, and it makes all your dinosaurs cost 2 less to cast. So if you're able to play this guy on turn 3 or turn 4, then on your next turn, right, you play your 5th mana, and then you can play a 7-cost dinosaur. There aren't really any good 7-cost dinosaurs at common. There is a good 6-cost, there is a good 8-cost. But this guy is gonna help you cast those. This is the deck I'm least sure about being good, but it's the one I'm most curious about finding out. So if somebody wants to make a dinosaur deck, shoot me a list, let me know what you're thinking, and I'd love to take a look at it. But I feel like this card is for sure gonna be a centerpiece of that dinosaur deck. So moving on, that was Dinosaurs. Merfolk. A lot of the students have been playing Merfolk in the tournaments. It's one of the easiest decks to build because almost all the cards in it are from Ixalan, so you only really need 1 set. But there were, you know, it was an okay deck, but it was kind of missing a couple things. Lots of students were playing Slitherblade as their 1-drop, just because Slitherblade is very aggressive. But now they don't have to. They actually have a Merfolk that costs 1, and it's almost a Slitherblade. It's a 1-mana 1/1 unblockable, whereas Slitherblade was a 1-mana 1/2 unblockable, but this one's a Merfolk. So this is a huge pickup for the Merfolk deck. Jungleborn Pioneer. This is a very, very solid 3-drop. A 3-mana 2/2, and you get a 1/1 hexproof Merfolk token when it comes in, right? So you get to split your card in 2. So essentially, this card adds 3 power to the board, right? If you attack on the next turn with it and your opponent doesn't have anything, you're going to deal 3 damage. But you can also split it up, so if they're attacking you with a bunch of small creatures, this guy is going to be really good at blocking. So this guy is very solid, will fit right into the Merfolk deck. The last card that the Merfolk deck got, I'm not sure if this is going to be a staple in the Merfolk deck, but especially because the Merfolk bonus of giving it Flash, I don't know how good that's going to be, but just being able to bounce a creature and draw a card at the same time. Drag Under was already legal in Standard Pauper, and it hasn't really seen much play, but the fact that this could be an instant, right, you can use it on your when your opponent goes to use a pump spell or something like that, it turns into a combat trick if you're playing it in a Merfolk deck. So, you know, you get a little bit of tempo, you get to draw a card. This thing might see play in the Merfolk deck. So, just a couple of updates to the Merfolk deck. Moving on to the Vampire deck. Martyr of Dusk is an awesome 2-drop. Before, the Vampire deck really only had Bishop Soldier as an awesome 2-drop, and it was like I saw some Vampire decks that were trying to play like Gustwalker on turn 2. It's not a vampire, but you know, it's just a very good 2-drop, or playing other 2-drops. But now they don't have to. They have Martyr of Dusk, which is a 2-mana 2/1, very solid body. It's going to trade with a lot of things, and when it dies, you get a 1/1 white vampire. So it's similar to Jungleborn Pioneer, except that you get the vampire, you get the token when Martyr of Dusk dies instead of when Jungleborn Pioneer comes into play. So it's very similar in that you get a little extra value. It's very possible to trade this for 2 different cards, right? You block one creature, it dies, you get your 1/1, you block a second creature the next turn, you know, it trades, you just traded for 2 creatures with your 2-drop. That's a very, very good rate. So this is the core of card advantage here. So Martyr of Dusk is very solid. Squire's Devotion, I'm not too sure about this. This is very similar to Cartouche of Ambition. I don't know if it's better than Cartouche of Ambition, but Cartouche of Ambition is one of the most powerful cards in the Standard Pauper format, and the fact that this is similar to it, it deserves mentioning. So the enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and lifelink, and when it comes in, you get a 1/1 vampire token that also has lifelink. Right? I don't know if the 1/1 lifelink token is more or less valuable than the -1/-1 counter that Cartouche of Ambition gives, but it's worth a mention here. If you're playing a vampire deck, you should try this out. This might even go into non-vampire decks because white has not had a lifelink enchantment in Standard Pauper. So keep your eye on this card. The last card that the vampire deck gets as a huge upgrade is Dusk Legion Zealot. As I said before, the vampire deck was really hurting for 2s. This guy's a 2-mana 1/1, so he's not the greatest in terms of providing a body, but he does replace himself, right? So when he comes into play, you lose a life, you know, which sucks if you're at 1 life, but if you're not at 1 life, then you'd much rather have an extra card than your 1 life. So you lose a life, and you draw a card. That means that he replaces himself, and you know, if you do end up trading this for another creature, then you got your 2-for-1, right? You traded it for their creature, and you got the card that you drew off the top of your deck. So this is a potential 2-for-1 here. Not the most powerful card, but it is going to be played in the vampire deck, I have a feeling. Very, very solid card. Alright, moving over, we have a bunch of new additions for the pirate deck. Unfortunately, the black common cards for the pirate archetype just aren't really there. You don't get much in black if you're playing pirates, but if you're playing blue-red in pirates, you get a lot. So let's start with the red cards. So Fanatical Firebrand, there aren't really that many 1-mana or that many good 1-mana creatures in red for Standard Pauper, and this guy is just very clearly the best one. He's a pirate. So he comes down on turn 1, you can attack with him right away, or you can use his activated ability right away since he has haste, right? You can tap and sack it to deal 1 damage to a creature or player. So he comes down, he can start attacking. If your opponent plays creatures that are bigger than him and he can't attack anymore, you can still use him to shoot something. Pirate's Cutlass equips to this for free, so Fanatical Firebrand will be very good in the pirate deck. Next we have another creature, 2-mana, 2/1 Menace Pirate. Menace is a great ability if you're trying to pressure your opponent and attack very quickly. Pirates had only one really good 2-drop before, which was the 2-mana 2/2 that you can pay a red and a colorless to give a +1/+0 until end of turn. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. But Goblin Trailblazer helps fill out the curve for the red pirate deck. 2-mana 2/1 Menace, you know, It'll trade with stuff if you need it to. It'll push through damage when you need it to. It wears Pirate's Cutlass very well, right? When it becomes a 4/2 Menace, then it's more likely to trade with 2 creatures if they have to block, or just hit them in the face for a lot of damage. So Goblin Trailblazer is super sweet. This might be the most exciting card for the Pirate deck. 2 mana, instant. Choose one. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains first strike until end of turn, or target pirate gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn. So if your deck is full of pirates, you're always going to be giving a creature +1/+1 and double strike, right? If you put a Pirate's Cutlass on this, it becomes a 4/2 Menace. You attack, they don't block. You turn it into a 5/3 double strike, right? You're just dealing a ton of damage. Unfortunately, pirates don't usually come with Trample, Trample is the best ability to go with double strike. But this card is still just super powerful. Watch out for this one. Alright, moving into the blue pirates. Over here, another 2-drop. This one is very solid. 2 mana, 2/1. When it's attacking, it gains flying, right? So it can't block flyers, but when you're trying to push damage through, it becomes a lot harder to block all of a sudden. Also especially good if you just throw Pirate's Cutlass on it, right? All of a sudden it becomes a 4/2 flyer. So that is a very good curve. Play this guy on turn 2, play Pirate's Cutlass on turn 3, you're attacking with a 4/2 flyer, you've got a nice clock on your opponent. So Kitesail Corsair will probably see play if you're playing a blue pirate deck. Next we have a 4 mana 3/2 pirate. Not the greatest stats, you know, respectable stats, 4 mana 3/2, but the raid ability is what really makes this playable. So if you attacked with a creature this turn, when you play Deadeye Rig Hauler, you get to return a creature to your opponent's hand. So you're adding a creature to the board and you're removing a creature from your opponent's board. So that's a big tempo swing. You know, they'll likely replay the creature next turn, but if you're already pressuring them with your 1-drops and 2-drops, then bouncing a creature to their hand will set them further behind. You'll get to work on their life total a little bit more. So Deadeye Rig Hauler, nice tempo play for the pirate deck. And the last card here for the pirate deck, Sea Legs. So it's an aura, so you have to play it onto a creature, but it has flash, so you can play it as an instant. And it says enchanted creature gets +0/+2 if it's a pirate. If it's not a pirate, it gets -2/-0, right? So if your pirate is in combat, you can save it, and it gets a permanent +0/+2, or if you don't have a pirate in play and your opponent's attacking you, you can permanently shrink your opponent's creatures, giving them -2/-0, and that might allow you to you know, win a race or something like that. So Sea Legs, very flexible, versatile card. I'm going to do another video in the next couple days talking about the importance of 1 mana combat tricks. It seems like the 1 mana combat tricks are really the backbone of this format, and this one provides blue another option, especially if you're playing the pirate deck. So 1 mana combat tricks, every deck wants them, I'm pretty certain, and this is a good option. So just recapping, Attune with Aether is not banned in Standard Pauper. It is banned in normal Standard, but not in Standard Pauper as far as MTG 808 Junior is concerned. And I encourage you to try brew up some new decks. The Pirate deck seems to have gained a lot. The Vampire deck got some nice goodies. The Merfolk deck got some new tools. And the Dinosaur deck, we'll see if this is enough to make it worth playing some big, hungry dinosaurs. So thanks for checking out the video. Let me know if you have deck lists that you want to feature. I will try to do full-on deck text on each of these archetypes in the coming days/weeks. But if you have a list and you want to you know, have it featured on the channel, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. And shout out to Chris Tom, the advisor for the Washington Middle School Magic Club. He brought a bunch of these pirates to my attention. He built a really sweet blue-red pirates deck that had almost all of these cards in it, and he was showing it to me, and it looked really sweet. So shout out to Chris for that. He also has a really nice white-black vampire deck featuring these cards. So thank you, Chris, for bringing that to my attention and sharing that with your students. And anyone else looking to brew, let me know what you think. Give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, Hit that subscribe button if you want to keep getting Standard Pauper content. And hopefully I'll catch you at the next video or at the next youth tournament. Thanks for stopping by.